Hey, this is Totu Bravo, and good morning. Cheers, Black Rifle Coffee Company. Still waiting on you guys to sponsor the channel. Just kidding. Be great though. But anyways, we've got something really special on the table today. We have a Mod 98 K98k from 1944, and I am the third person to own this rifle. Just some quick history on this rifle. It was a war bringback. The veteran that brought it back sold it to another gentleman who is now 83 years old, and I was able to get the rifle from this gentleman at a very reasonable price, and that brings us to where we are right now. Now, the rifle was acquired in this original sporterized stock. It was heavily sanded and modified, so I saw the potential in this rifle. Number one, all of the serial numbers match with the exception of the safety flag. That is the only thing on this entire weapon that does not match. So let's start off with just looking at some of the serial numbers, and then we will transition from there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the rifle. And what we have here is a BYF 44, or 1944. And the serial number is 30154 Hotel. So Hotel designates that this rifle was made in September of 1944. So it is a later year rifle, and we'll talk about some of the changes that happened during the manufacture of the rifles in 1944, transitioning to 1945. So we just talked about the serial number. The reason why we mentioned the serial number is here at the stock we have 30154. And the upper portion of the guard, 30154. So I think it's important to preserve, even though it's sporterized, the original stock that can go with the gun. This is the original band. It has been modified also, and this is 30154. So we're going to keep those parts because those are original parts. Now we'll go over the rest of the serial numbers on the gun, and then we'll talk about the guns from 1944, just some brief history, and then we'll revisit the gun as a whole after we talk about that. So the serial numbers, we'll flip it over because that's easiest. You can see the floor plate is BYF. We have the 135, I believe, factory markings here. We have BYF here, 30154. And you can see that this is the stamped trigger guard and floor plate, but it does still have the locking screws on either end, which is what they had on the earlier models. So they hadn't gotten rid of the locking screws yet, but we are seeing the stamped trigger guard and floor plate here. You will also notice that we don't have the H-band, but we still have the much simpler and easier to make milled front band here. We haven't transitioned to the welded stamped band that you see in the much later year rifles of 1944 and 1945, where you're starting to see all those cheaper parts really begin to transition. We'll go ahead and talk about some of the history of this this rifle and the factory, the Ovendorf factory, real quick, and then we'll go back to talking about the serial numbers. So 1944 was the peak year of production for the BYF K98Ks, Mod 98s. The 44 BYF is the most commonly encountered K98K in the country. The non-serial number range is from 3,342 to 87,559I. Production went through the single letter, double letter, 5-digit no letter and into the 5-digit single letter block, culminating with the 5-digit I block. As the year progressed, milled parts were phased out in favor of stamp parts, and by the end of the year, Mauser was using all stamp parts for the front and lower bands. We spoke about that briefly. And, band springs, trigger guards, floor plates, and followers, some supplied by other manufacturers. Many collectors refer to these late war or Krieg model war model rifles. 1944 also saw the appearance of the Recoil Lug, which is located right here, which resembled a button instead of a flat-sided lug, which was used earlier. Fewer parts were numbered, and as the year progressed, 5-digit I block, the most common configuration, was to have only the receiver bolt, gas shield, and cocking piece numbered to the gun. Stocks which were not numbered in the late I block are sometimes found with the corresponding serial number written in pencil in the 5-digit I block. Phosphate parts were used for the first time. These were the first dual-tone guns. Late 5-digit I block rifles can still be found with a speed-milled front band. The simplified bolt and 2-round gas holes appeared in the 1944, replacing the bolt using the oval gas holes. Exterior finish deteriorated due to the loss of skilled workmanship as the military manpower needs of the Army and Luftwaffe became critical. So, that's just a little history on the BYF 1944 gun made in the Obendorf plant. The reason why I read that before I went forward with the rest of the serial numbers here is my front sight post cover here is not numbered. My front band is not numbered. My cleaning rod is not numbered. And everything else, though, is numbered as it is mentioned. So, as we go back, we can see here 0154 on the bolt, 0154 on the shield, 0154 on the rear of the bolt, and 30154 on the side of the weapon here, with the Nazi markings still in place, not peened, but fully visible. Mod 98. So the only thing, like I mentioned at the very beginning of the video, that doesn't match is the safety here, which is 8843, which is kind of odd. I've tried to do a little research on, maybe why some parts might be mismatched. The only two things that I can come up with is, because this is an original bring-back rifle, this was either something that was repaired in the field, maybe during combat or operations or anything of that nature, or something of that nature, or it was a mistake at the factory. It's the only two things that I can think of. The gentleman that had the rifle, the only modifications that he made was to the stock, and the second gentleman didn't touch a thing, never fired the rifle. It sat for years and years and years and years and years, never being fired. So the only explanations that make sense to me was that it was either a field repair or it was something done at the factory and it was a mistake. If somebody knows better than myself, maybe you guys can fill me in on some more data. You can see that I have all of the corresponding inspection stamps here, and I'll insert photos of all of these particular stamps and markings. Here and here. A lot of you guys probably know much more about that. So, as you can see, this rifle is currently living in a Yugo stock, which I got from Classic Firearms at a pretty reasonable price for the condition that the stock is in. And that is because I wanted to bring it back to more of an original condition. At some point, when I can find one at a reasonable price, I would like to certainly replace the Yugo stock with an actual German K98 stock. But that may take some time in order for me to achieve that, to find one that's in good enough condition that suits this rifle here. I have all the matching serial number parts, again minus the trigger flag there. So pretty neat rifle, pretty neat history behind it. Third owner of the rifle. These are getting harder and harder to find from what I understand. The price continues to climb and climb. And again, this will never be a 100% all matching rifle because of the sporterized stock and the band here, but I'm going to keep it all as one, so the history is here. I think my next video we'll get out to the range, we'll shoot it, we'll see how it shoots, how it groups, how accurate it is. I don't want to shoot it too much. I want to keep it in as pristine a condition as I can, and you know, obviously it's something that I want to hold on to. The bore on this thing is really good. I'll try to get some pictures of that also and put those in right here. I look forward to any comments on folks that are a little more knowledgeable on these than myself, that can maybe help me out and maybe correct me if I made any mistakes. I tried to do as much research. As I could and be as accurate as possible. But I definitely look forward to maybe some folks that know a lot more than myself to put their comments in there and maybe help me out. Maybe help me find a K98 stock that's in a little better condition and is you're correct. So this is Total 2 Bravo, and until we see you at the range again, I appreciate you watching.